Am I live? Oh, I'm live. Hey, guys. Oh, I know Tony's going live too, but that's okay. Go wherever you want. We'll catch up later. I got my coffee. I got my Bible. I was listening to Skull's latest radio hits. So, all good. I got my, it's hard to talk to people when I'm not on screen. Sorry, I don't know where I'm looking. I got my, can you see it? My snowman. Come on now. Well, my Red Rocks picture is getting in the way. I have my snowman mug. There it is, see? I put brown sugar in my coffee and a tiny bit of almond milk. It's okay. But this coffee from Costco we get is kind of weak, so it'll work. All right. So, as I wrote on that post, my daughter was sick all week and it's just been crazy. Like her whole school was sick. And I'm not kidding. It was out of a class of 26 children that I help in one room, 10 of them were gone. And they had everything under the sun. I personally think my daughter had the C again because that, whatever it is, it doesn't go away. It like hangs on. And so she was fine one day, and then the next day she wasn't. And then she was getting a little better the next day, and then the next day she'd be down. And then yesterday actually was day 7 of the onset of symptoms, and she had a fever and was down all day. And today she's okay. So hopefully we got that all out of the way. I damn the system for doing that. Hey, Andrew. They sprayed the chem clouds all over the place last week. And I know, we try to stay away from sugar, and we don't go trick-or-treating, but people give my daughter candy, and so I was letting her have a little bit each day, and that was like too much. I think that has to do with it. Whenever we overload on sweets and stuff, she gets sick, so it was like a double whammy. Maybe that's why, I was thinking maybe that's why they do Halloween. Like they make it out like, oh, it's so much fun, and you should do it with us, the world or whoever they are. It's not good, despite, aside from it being like Satan's holy day or whatever, but it's not good all around. Like, it makes you sick. So anyway, enough of that. All right, we're going to do Isaiah 28 and 29, and we'll just read it together. And I wanted to kind of focus a little bit on Ephraim, because it mentions that. And Ephraim, I had to look it up again. I couldn't remember if Ephraim was one of the 12 patriarchs or somebody else, and it ends up being someone else. It's Joseph's son. So he had Ephraim and Manasseh as his sons. So to keep in mind, Ephraim and Manasseh were probably, or most definitely, half Egyptian because Joseph was in Egypt and he married an Egyptian. We don't know who he married. I don't know if that's in any of the lost books or whatever. But, yeah, sorry, my phone's going off. So we're going to read about Ephraim, and just to get a little bit of background on him. And wouldn't you know, Ephraim is in Utah. Hint, hint. And if any of you follow John Levi or Levy or whatever, however you say his name, he was talking about Judah being in Utah. So it's that theory of the America's biblical lands is always in front of my face. Yes, I question the water too, Andrew, for sure. And here in Indiana, our water comes from the rainwater and stuff. So, I don't know. We got to get a filter. We got to get in a reverse osmosis. Yeah, Utah and Judah, just switching the spells on us. So yeah. Yeah, and it's been really cold. Like, it's usually like in the 20s here. Andrew knows it. Anybody, we're all Midwesterners in the chat. It gets to be in the 20s by January, not in November. And So really strange, bitter cold, snow, and that doesn't help your system either from going from like 50 and 60s to 20 degrees. But anyway, let's just get over it. Okay, Isaiah 28. Can't touch this. That's what I say. So hallelujah, my daughter's better. And Andrew, I prayed for your son. I'll pray his immune system gets boosted up. I did give my daughter antibiotics. So just to help kick anything out. So gotta boost her probiotics with that. So, all right, I have my Names of God Bible here, or Yah, and then I have the amplified version on the screen. So let me make it a little bigger. And this is about Ephraim. Oh, I should probably talk about Ephraim before we go into it. Okay, so the grandson of Jacob, Ephraim was the second son of Joseph. His name means doubly fruitful because God has made Joseph fruitful in the land of his suffering. When Ephraim was born to Joseph, oh, there's his wife. I was just saying it. Asenath. Joseph was a foreigner in Egypt. He had gained a high position in Pharaoh's court. I never knew his wife's name. Ephraim was the younger brother of Manasseh. Jacob blessed Ephraim as an adopted son, saying to Joseph, "Now then, your 2 sons were born to you in Egypt. Before I came to you here will be reckoned as mine. Ephraim and Manasseh will be mine, just as Reuben and Simeon are mine." Later, as Jacob's health was failing, Joseph brought Manasseh and Ephraim to him for a patriarchal blessing. Being the firstborn, Manasseh would normally have received the bigger blessing, but Jacob switched things up on purpose. Oh, like he was switched too. His blessing was switched. As Joseph guided his 2 sons toward Jacob, he made sure Manasseh was on Jacob's right side and Ephraim, the younger, was on Jacob's left. But as Jacob extended his hand, he crossed his arms, so his right hand was placed on Ephraim's head. Joseph began to object, but his father assured him he knew what he was doing. In this way, Ephraim was given precedence over his older brother Manasseh. Descendants of Ephraim became known as the tribe of Ephraim, which is designated as one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, that's where I got a little mixed up. They settled in central Canaan, just northwest of the Dead Sea. So if we go back to the Great Salt Lake, just saying, if that's where it is. Sorry for the pause. Okay. That's a good aerial shot. All right. Okay, northwest of the Dead Sea. If this is the same thing, northwest. Northwest? The tribe was bordered by Manasseh on the north and Dan and Benjamin on the south. Ephraim became the leading tribe of the northern kingdom, and the capital, Samaria, was located in Ephraim's territory. So that's what chapter 28 in Isaiah is talking about. In fact, scripture sometimes refers to Israel as simply Ephraim due to the size of the tribe. The tribe of Ephraim was chastised for adultery and their partnership with heathen nations. Surprise, surprise, as all of Israel is. The tribe of Ephraim was taken into captivity by the Assyrians, I-722, or whatever that may mean, BC, when the northern kingdom of Israel was conquered. Even so, the Lord declared, "It is not my son, Ephraim, my dear son, the child in whom I delight. Though I often speak against him, I still remember him. Therefore my heart yearns for him. I have great compassion for him." Okay, notable figures from the tribe of Ephraim include Joshua, Samuel, Jeroboam the first. After the captivity, some of the descendants resettled in Jerusalem. Okay, so that'll bring me to, let's go back to, sorry I didn't have this up. I was going to use this and then I wasn't. Now I changed my mind. Again, I'm in one of those moods. Let's do Joseph, the Testament of Joseph. let's just skim through it. I probably would agree that these are supposed to be in the Bible. And I guess why wouldn't they be is my next question. So let's skip down. Because Joseph's just giving his testimony of what happened, like Potiphar's wife. He was in prison. He was then the right hand, second to the Pharaoh. Some other stuff I don't want to read right now. Okay, so we'll go to chapter 2. So I think that was just more of his testimony. Okay, so let's go to chapter 2, the Testament of Joseph. Let me make it bigger for you. You see, therefore, my children, how great things patience works in prayer with fasting. So you too, if you follow after chastity and purity with patience and prayer, just like he did, with fasting and humility of heart, Yahweh will dwell among you because he loves chastity. Wheresoever the Most High dwells, even though envy or slavery or slander befalleth a man, Yahweh, who dwelleth in him for the sake of his chastity, not only delivered him from evil, but also exalted him, even as me. For in every way the man is lifted up, whether in deed or word or in thought. My brethren knew how my father loved me, and yet I did not exalt myself in my mind. Although I was a child, I had the fear of Yah in my heart, for I knew that all things would pass away. This is interesting because I learned in college that Joseph was not, he wasn't humble. He did exalt himself in his mind. That's why he told them too much. I don't know, and I tend to think that still. Okay, so this is more of his story, the Ishmaelites. He was a slave. He was a Hebrew. Let's see, I'm just skimming to see if there's any extra information we need to know. Let's do 58. You see, therefore, my children, what great things I endured, that should not put my brethren to shame. Do you also, therefore, love one another, and with long suffering hide one another's faults? For Yahweh delighteth in the unity of the brethren, the purpose of a heart that takes pleasure in love. And when my brethren came into Egypt, they learned that I had returned their money unto them, and upbraided them not, and comforted them. After the death of Jacob my father, I loved them more abundantly, and all things whatsoever he commanded I did for them. I did very abundantly for them, because he was rich. He doesn't mention Ephraim here. It's interesting. I thought maybe he'd mention his 2 sons. Okay. So he talks about his wife dying, his bones being carried up. Yahuwah shall be your light, and Beliar shall be in the darkness with the Egyptians. Belial, that's probably the devil. And carry up Asnath your mother to Hippodrome, near Rachel your mother, my mother, to bury her. That's his mother. Okay, so he died a good old age. Israel mourned for him, all of Egypt. And the children of Israel went out of Egypt. They took with them the bones of Joseph, and they buried him in Hebron with his fathers, and the years of his life were 110. So not exceeding that 120. There's also a Hebron. There's a Hebron in States also. Is it in Utah too? Sorry if you don't like this rabbit trail. I like it. Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? Why haven't we heard of this before? Oh, where is it? Do you see it? I'm seeing it. I knew someone from Ogden. Hebron. Am I missing it, guys? I'm kind of tired. I need more coffee. For goodness sakes. Come on, Andrea. Get it together. Oh, there's a Hebron, Connecticut. Okay. There it is. Whoa, way up there. Huh. All right, interesting. All right, so we're 2 for 2. Ephraim, Utah, Hebron, Utah, right? Let me check the chat. Oh, Joseph's your middle name. That was my grandpa's middle name, or I'm sorry, my grandpa's name also. That's my dad's middle name. My grandpa did not have a middle name. He was Italian, and actually, Joseph was not his given birth name. His given birth name was something like Gelsomino, and they called him Josie. And he didn't want to be Italian. His parents immigrated from Italy. He was the first one born in America, and he wanted to be fully American, so he got rid of his Italian name, and only his family called him Gelsomino or Josie. And he wanted to be known as Joe. He was a Chicago firefighter, so. And my grandpa always had black, dark, probably coffee every morning with a cigarette. When I woke up as a child, he would have his coffee, his cigarette, and the newspaper in front of him with the classical station on or talk radio, and he'd make us breakfast when my sister and I would come downstairs. Good childhood memories of Chicago. Anyway, Andrew, you distract me. All right. But yes, more coffee. Cheers, Grandpa. My grandpa died when I was 12, so he was again. Yeah, he would have been 101 this year. Okay. Isaiah 28. Woe to Samaria, the crown of pride of the drunkards of the 10 tribes. So remember, as we lost 10 tribes of Israel, and no one really knows where they went or who they are. That's why many people in the Black community are of that persuasion. And I tend to be also that they are the true Hebrews, the Native Americans. John Levi mentioned the Utes, the Native American Utes in Utah. So I wonder if that's Judah, the Jutes, the Jews, the Hebrews. Okay, and to the fading flower of its glorious beauty, which is on the head of the rich valley of those overcome and smitten down with wine. Behold, the Most High. I'm going to switch between the Most High and Yahweh. The Most High has a strong and mighty one, like a tempest of hail, a destroying storm, like a flood of mighty overflowing waters. He will cast it down to the earth with violent hand. With alien feet, Samaria, the proud crown of the drunkards of Ephraim, will be trodden down. And the fading flower of its glorious beauty, which is on the head of the rich valley, will be like the early fig before the fruit harvest, which, when anyone sees it, he snatches and eats it up greedily at once. So in an amazingly short time will the Assyrians devour Samaria, Israel's capital. So that's the northern kingdom, like we were reading. But in that future messianic day, Yahuwah Sabaoth shall become a crown of glory and a diadem of beauty to the converted remnant of his people. Isaiah is all about the remnant. The Most High, Yahuwah, is all about the remnant. There are all these happenings and destructions and judgments, but he's all about the remnant. So here's where they tell us Ephraim is, just to let you know, next to Dan. And Dan's a very peculiar tribe also, not mentioned in Revelation, if you go back to my Revelation study. And other things the Danites may have, what they may have been. Sorry, I'm losing my place here. Trying to find my my correct slide. Oh, here we go. Picture picked, and of course, here's Ephraim, Utah. Oh gosh, sorry guys. Sorry, because I know sometimes people get dizzy. I don't know what's going on here in Ephraim, Utah. All that. Okay. And a spirit of justice to him who sits and administers the law, and strength to those who turn back the battle at the gate. It's probably an actual gate. But even these reel from wine and from strong drink. The priest and the prophet reel from strong drink. They are confused from wine. They stagger and are gone astray through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble when pronouncing judgment. For all the tables are full of filthy vomit, so that they're clean. To whom will he teach knowledge as the drunkards, and whom will he make to understand the message? Those are babies just weaned from the milk and taken from the breasts. Is that what he thinks? For it is his prophets repeating over and over. Here's a common scripture that pastors like to precept upon precept, at least when I was in college they did. Precept upon precept, rule upon rule, rule upon rule. Here a little, there a little. Sorry, I didn't mock it like that. I'm mocking what they think about, not the Bible itself. No, but Yah will teach the rebels in a more humiliating way. By men with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people, says Isaiah, and teach them his lessons. To these complaining Jews, the Yahuwah had said, this is the true rest, the way to true comfort and happiness, that you shall give to the weary, and this is the true refreshing. Yet they would not listen to his teaching. Andrew, I think you were saying something about that the other day on some chat. The sound keeps cutting off. I don't know. No sound? Is there sound? No sound? You're not kidding me. Oh. No sound? Any sound? Well, I'm going to pause in case. Okay, sound. Hey, Big Tim, it's breaking up. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry, it's breaking up. All right. I think my internet's fine. All right, I'll keep going. Sorry, guys, I can't do anything with the sound. I'd have to start all over. All right. So let me go back up here. I kind of want to get. Sometimes I read and I don't understand the order of it. So let's start at verse 5 again. But in that future messianic day of Yah Sabaoth shall become a crown of glory and diadem of beauty to the converted remnant of his people. Okay, so this is when he's ruling the remnant, the left, the people left or survivors. So then it's positive as general as I can make it. So there's a positive. So it went from the negative to the positive, and now the spirit of justice to him who sits in judgment. Okay, and then we're back to the negative. So he's willing to teach, and then this is still happening. Even the leaders that people look up to for scripture and reading and proper, celebrating of the feasts and things and sacrifices. Now they're the ones that are erring because they're drunk. But he said he will teach them. Okay. They wouldn't listen. Therefore, the word of the Most High will be to them merely monotonous repeatings of precept upon precept, precept upon precept, rule upon rule, rule upon rule, here a little, there a little, that they may go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. Therefore, hear the word of the Most High, you scoffers who rule this people in Jerusalem. Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with Sheol, the place of the dead, we have an agreement. When the overflowing scourge passes through, it will not come to us, for we have made lies our refuge, and in falsehood we have taken shelter. So they're being arrogant and saying, whatever, who cares? We are going to do what we want to do, and we are protected, but they're not. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I am laying in Zion for a foundation, and this is where they say this is Jesus or Yeshua. A stone, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone of sure foundation. He who believes, trusts, and relies and adheres to that stone will not be ashamed or give way or hasten away in sudden panic. Now, I do want to say, yes, this could be Yeshua, and anytime I'm questioning that it's not, back up a little. Oh, I'm just using my my tablet here. Okay. So I'm not saying this isn't Yeshua. If anyone, gets upset that I'm saying that's not a prophetic passage, but I'm trying to think if Jesus, Yeshua, whatever you like to say, actually called himself that. I know others had called himself that, but he did not call himself that. He called himself the bread of life. He called himself the light of the world. He called himself the Son of the Most High. He called himself, what am I forgetting? The gate, the door, the good shepherd. If anyone can find the chapter and verse where he says he is the cornerstone, I think others said it, not him. Not just hearers only, but doers of the word. Yep, exactly, Andrew. And that's what we need to do. Okay. Keep in context of Isaiah, he's saying those who rely on the Messiah will not be hastening away in sudden panic from the impending doom. I will make justice the measuring line and righteousness the plummet, and hail will sweep away the refuge of lies, and waters will overwhelm the hiding place, the shelter. And your covenant with death shall be annulled, and your agreement with Sheol, the place of the dead, shall not stand. When the overwhelming scourge passes through, then you will be trodden down by it. As often as it passes through it, the enemy's scourge will take you, for morning by morning will it pass through, by day and by night, and it will be utter terror merely to hear and comprehend the report and the message of it, but only hard treatment and dispersion will make you understand his instruction, the Most High's instruction. For they will find that the bed is too short for a man to stretch himself on, and covering too narrow for him to wrap himself in it. All their sources of confidence will fail them. For Yah will rise up on the Mount Perazim. He will be wrathful as in the valley of Gibeon, that he may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his act, his strange act. Now therefore do not be scoffers, lest the bands which bind you be made strong. For a decree of destruction have I heard from Yahuwah Sabaoth upon the whole land and the whole earth. So we always see the judgment of these peoples, and then it's talking about the whole earth. However, it is talking about the whole earth, but then the whole earth isn't destroyed yet. And the whole earth in Isaiah, it doesn't ever get to that point of what happens after the whole earth is destroyed. That's where I'm getting a little confused in Isaiah. Okay. Give ear and hear Isaiah's voice, listen and hear my words. Does he who plows for sowing plow continually? Does he continue to plow and harrow the ground after it is smooth? When he has leveled its surface, does he not cast abroad the seed of dill or fennel and scatter cumin and put the wheat in rows and barley in its intended place and spells as the border? Spelt bread is gross, by the way. I've had it one time. As he trains each of them correctly, for his Yah instructs him correctly and teaches him. For dill is not threshed with a sharp threshing instrument. So this is why he's giving those specific herbs as examples, because the way that these herbs are harvested is the way these peoples in these nations are going to be judged. Dill is not threshed with a sharp threshing instrument, nor is a cartwheel rolled over cumin, but dill is beaten off with a staff, cumin with a rod by hand. Does one crush bread grain? No, he does not thresh it continuously, but when he has driven his cartwheel and his horse over it, he scatters it, tossing it up to the wind without having crushed it. This also comes from Yahweh Sabaoth, who is wonderful in counsel and excellent in wisdom and effectual working. Woe to Ariel, Jerusalem, to Ariel, the city where David encamped. Add yet another year, let the feasts run their round, but only one more year. Okay, so this is where we get a little tricky. This is chapter 29 now. Was this already going on, or is this, can we, according to the mixed up calendar they give us, understand when the last year of the feasts is taking place? So, yeah, I'm not sure, and we no way to be sure, because I think the times are all mixed up. It's all chaos. It's always been chaos. It's always been a history of destruction or wars, and then famine, and sickness, and financial calamity, and then there's a recovery, and then there's war and sickness and financial ruin and recovery. So, I don't know. Is nowadays even worse than the past? I can't tell you, because we don't know what the true past was. And about this topic of the feasts, I do think that the feasts are not just for the Hebrew people, they're for believers that are grafted in also. And I've celebrated the feasts not perfectly at all, but for the past, it's going to be 3 years, maybe 2. But the feasts correlate with the heavenly realm and the time clock that our sky is. And so that's a way to tell where we are in time also. And I've always heard the theory and the speculation, well, all the stars haven't fallen from the sky yet, so these things haven't happened yet. Well, we don't know what there once was up in the sky, and we don't know how much has changed in history. That's why I keep looking into things and just kind of stay neutral in it all, because I don't know yet, and I might not ever know. Okay, so here's chapter 29, enough of my rambling. Then I will distress Ariel, and there shall be mourning and lamentation, yet she shall be to me like an Ariel, an altar hearth, a hearth of burning, the altar of the Most High. And I will encamp against you round about, and I will hem you in the siege works, and I will set up fortifications against you. You shall be made low, or you shall be laid low, Jerusalem, speaking from beneath the ground, and your speech shall come humbly from the dust. Your voice shall be like that of a ghost, produced by a medium, coming from the earth, and your speech shall whisper and squeak as it chatters from the dust. Now, has anybody heard, this just came to my mind, has anybody heard about those voices that people hear in Utah? Someone told me about that, and I don't know if it was one of you. I still haven't looked into that, but that's what that says. The whispers and the squeaks and the dust. But the multitude of your enemies, strangers that assail you, shall be like small dust, and the multitude of the ruthless and terrible ones like chaff that blows away. And in an instant, suddenly, you shall be visited and delivered by the Most High, Yahuwah Sabaoth, with thunder and earthquake and great noise, with whirlwind and tempest and the flame of a devouring fire. And the multitude of all the nations that fight against Ariel, Jerusalem, even all that fight against her and her stronghold that distress her, shall be as a dream, a vision of the night. It shall be as when a hungry man dreams that he was eating, but he wakens with his craving not satisfied, or as when a thirsty man dreams that he is drinking, but he wakens and is faint, and his thirst is not quenched. I just want to mention in my Names of God Bible, your voice will come out of the ground like that of a ghost. Your words will be whispered from the dust, is what that verse says. I'm trying to see if there's anything else they say differently. Okay. So shall the multitude of the nations be that fight against Mount Zion. So many nations will come against Jerusalem. Stop and wonder at this prophecy if you choose whether you understand it or not. Okay, I would be in the not category. Soon you will witness the actual event and be confounded reluctantly. So I would say maybe this already happened. These people reading this would see the event, just like I'm just comparing preterism right now. Preterism says that the Messiah told people in his time they would see certain things before his coming, and they did see it. So maybe the same thing going on here. Isaiah is telling the people, you will see this actual event. That's why it says it. Blind yourselves now if you choose, take your pleasure, it's just saying go on with your life if you want, and then be blinded at the actual occurrence. So going around blind leading the blind, acting as if nothing's going to happen, and then they'll be punished by blindness, spiritual blindness, and then physical blindness. They are drunk, but not from wine. They stagger, but not from strong drink, but from spiritual stupor. And we still see that a lot today. Although a lot of people are waking up, there's still this spiritual stupor. And that's why you guys are such a blessing to me, because we're all trying to figure things out together, and we all have our part of what figuring things out and relying on the Holy Spirit to show us. So there's not many people out there that aren't in a spiritual stupor. And this is kind of what we see today, though. So see, now I'm back to the point of, okay, well, this is what we see today. For Yahweh has poured out on you the spirit of deep sleep. He has closed your eyes, the prophets in your heads, the seers, he has covered and muffled. Because when you talk to people today, they just kind of look at you like, I don't talk to many people. I don't really make my thoughts known to people. But they would just look at me like with a blank stare, or just completely dismiss it as evil because it's something they never heard about. And anything they're taught, they think that they're just going to be, that the person that taught them is right. Okay. And the vision of all this has become for you like the words of a book that is sealed. When men give it to one who can read, saying, read this, I pray you, he says, I cannot, for it is sealed. So what he's saying there, what I pictured when I read this, was the book is closed and sealed, and they have access to it. They can open it, but you have to open it, and they think that they can't. When the book is given to him who is not learned, saying, read this, I pray you, he says, I cannot read. And I've actually had people, particularly my mom, say that to me, that I tell her, you can look into these things. And she says, I can't. You went to Bible college, so you can understand the Bible, but I can't. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. And everything I learned in Bible college anyways is bull. So, so that's what she was saying to me. I can't read it like that. And other people say that too. I can't read it. And the Most High said, "For as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but remove their hearts and minds far from me, and their fear and reverence for me are a commandment of men that is learned by repetition without any thought as to the meaning." So that's talking about traditions. "Therefore, behold, I will again do marvelous things with this people, marvelous and astonishing things, and the wisdom of their wise men will perish, and the understanding of their discerning men will vanish or be hidden. Woe to those who seek to hide deep from Yah's their counsel, whose deeds are in the dark, and who say, Who sees us? Who knows us? Oh, your perversity. You turn things upside down." Don't we see that all the time today, huh? "Shall the potter be considered of no more account than the clay?" This is another well-known passage. "Shall the thing that is made say of its maker, He did not make me, or the thing that is formed say of him who formed it, He has no understanding?" Kind of like a Job vibe going on there. "It is not yet a very little while until Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field esteemed as a forest. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and out of the obscurity and gloom and darkness the eyes of the blind shall see. The meek also shall increase their joy in Yah, and the poor among men shall rejoice and exult in the Holy One of Israel." For the terrible one, the Assyrian army, that's an interesting way to describe that. "Come to naught, and the scoffer shall cease, and all those who watch for iniquity as an occasion for accusation shall be cut off. Those who make a man an offender and bring condemnation upon him with a word or a curse, and lay a trap for him who upholds justice at the city gate, and thrust aside the innocent and truly righteous with an empty plea. Therefore, thus says the Most High, who redeemed Abraham out of Ur and idolatry, concerning the house of Jacob. Jacob shall not then be ashamed." So here we're circling back to Jacob. "And not then shall his face become pale with fear and disappointment because of his children's degeneracy. For when he sees his children walking in the way of piety and virtue, the work of my hands in his midst, they will revere my name. They will revere the Holy One of Jacob, and reverently fear the Yah of Israel. Those who err in spirit will come to understanding, and those who murmur discontentedly will accept instruction." But the Most High has to do it. He has to lift that sleep, and He has to cause the blind to see. I think it's interesting just to note, I don't remember reading this earlier, it says the Holy One of Israel, and then it says the Holy One of Jacob. And what I'm thinking of that, when it's referring to Jacob as Jacob, rather than his given name by Yah, Israel, it's talking about what kind of person he was when he was referred to as Jacob versus when he was Israel, and his purpose in life, if you want to call it that, was turned around by the Most High Himself. So, what'd you say about underground cities trapped and sealed off, but we hear the sounds through the substrate? Oh, I've only been through Aurora. I've never actually walked around. It's really strange. Yeah, iron sharpens iron for sure. That's true. So if this is all Yeshua or Jesus, I'm not sure. Is there another ruler that ruled in the past that we don't know about? Not taking Jesus's place or anything. I'm just saying another just, righteous ruler. But it's interesting, and then I guess it goes back to me always saying, the reason I don't talk to people about things is because if they're not ready, they're not going to listen. It doesn't matter. Sorry, I know the light gets in my glasses and you can't see my face. Lion, the tribe of Utah, right? You can't just make people understand. And there's that deep sleep. We can't get people out of that deep sleep. The Spirit of the Most High has to get them out of that deep sleep. And remember, I just thought of those spirits of the Most High being mentioned in Isaiah earlier. He has the spirit of wisdom and instruction and all those things. The seven spirits guide people to the truth. And it doesn't matter what we say. And that's why I say people can come to me. I don't go to anybody and say, listen, you have to listen. Because they're not. You have to be ready for any and all truth that comes to you, whether it be about Torah, whether it be about the Messiah, whether it be about mystery history or mud floods or the 1,000-year reign or not. You have to be ready. And only the Most High knows how each of us think. I mean, He knows what we think, and He made us how we think. So that's all I have, and I hope we're part of the remnant. I have a feeling we are because we understand things differently than other people do. But I was going to say, like Andrew said, it's nice to chat. It really is because you guys are kind of all I have. I mean, I have a couple friends that we've kept in touch with over the years, but nobody I could really like say anything to without people being like, you're anti-biblical and a heretic. That's why I don't go to church anymore. They're going to call me a heretic for sure. And so much is going on in the church. I see more and more how the church entity is, I'm not talking about believers, I'm talking about the 501c3. They're all corrupt. They're all degenerate, and I can't even go into what I found out about certain things about my parents' church, and it just is such a turnoff. I can see how like Satan is just ruling those places because those men in leadership and everything are not don't have the Holy Spirit in them for sure. And I'm not perfect, but man, there's some crazy shit going on in the churches. But yeah, Lion, the tribe of Utah. Go watch his video, John Levi's video. It's really interesting. And as I say, UBTV's video is really interesting, although he takes some extreme views on stuff. I've tried to comment on his channel, but he never answers, and people don't answer me. Their opinion is, some people's opinions are that those of us that have light skin are of the devil, and that's pretty extreme. So I've been trying to like comment and ask questions about that, but oh hey Nan, yes, I will pray for you, Nan, and I hope you're doing okay. I know you've been really struggling. Yeah, we'll lift you up. I know He will, because He has a plan for you, Nan. He has a plan for all of us. Deep sleep, Indiana Jones. Yeah. Why is Indiana Jones, is he from Indiana? I'm telling you, I live in Indiana now, but I do not feel like an Indiana person. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I am in a foreign land. It's kind of strange. But yeah, pray for Nan, everybody. She's been really, her body is giving out on her in a few ways. So may your soul be lifted up and then your body, because you're needed. So yeah, that's all I have. Blessings. Thanks for joining me. And yeah, we'll keep moving on, and we can lead people and we can share with people, but it's up to them to decide. And it's up to Yah. He's gonna lift that veil, not us. So, all right.